Hello and welcome to the Deep Dive, brought to you by HIV RNA Test Guide, your trusted source for confidential HIV testing, with over 4,500 testing labs across the United States. Today, we're going to unpack something potentially, well, groundbreaking. Imagine a future where we could actually stop HIV infection before it even starts. I mean, it sounds like sci-fi, doesn't it? But what if a new vaccine, right now, is showing us that future might be closer than we think?
It's definitely a compelling vision and an urgent one, too. HIV, I mean, it's been this huge global health challenge for decades, right? Affecting so many lives. So finding genuinely new ways to prevent it isn't just, good science. It's a massive public health need. The whole prevention landscape is always evolving, and this feels like a significant step.
Exactly. And that's what this deep dive is all about today. Our mission is to explore the potential of Gilead's experimental vaccine, HB-500. We want to really get into what could mean for the future, but also, crucially, what you can do right now to protect yourself and your loved ones. We're basing this on insights from a really interesting video called Gilead's HB-500, a new hope for HIV prevention. So we'll break that down. Okay, so we're going to dig into the science, right? How HB-500 works, where it is in the whole FDA process, what the experts are saying, how it stacks up against other developments, and importantly, why lab testing is still so vital. Ready to jump in? Okay, Gilead. Most people, when they hear that name, they think Truvada, Descovy, the big HIV treatment and pre-Epi drugs. They've obviously got a major track record there. But now, a vaccine, HB-500. For those of us not in the lab coast, what is HB-500? What makes it different?
Yeah, good place to start. HB-500 is, well, it's what's called a bNAb-based vaccine. So bNAb, that stands for broadly neutralizing antibody. Basically, it uses these really powerful antibodies that can fight off lots of different strains of HIV, not just one. And that's key because HIV changes so fast, right? It mutates. Traditional vaccines have struggled with that. bNAbs kind of get around that by targeting parts of the virus that don't change much. So potentially broader, longer-lasting protection.
Okay, targeting multiple strains. That really does sound like a big deal. So how do these bNAbs actually work, like in the body?
Well, there are basically two ways. You can get them directly, like an injection. That gives you protection pretty fast, but it might not last as long. Or, and this is what HB-500 aims for, a vaccine can trigger your own body to make these antibodies. The idea there is to train your immune system for a more sustained long-term defense. The real goal, the big prize, is getting that solid protection before any exposure happens.
Training your body. Like setting up its own security system ahead of time. That's really cool. How does it physically stop the virus, though, the mechanism?
Exactly. Think of it like a high-tech security system. Instead of reacting after HIV gets in, your body's ready beforehand. It's trained to spot the threat and neutralize it immediately. HB-500 specifically gets your immune system to make an antibody that targets the virus's CD4 binding site. That site is basically how HIV attaches to and gets inside your immune cells. It's like the keyhole. So this antibody blocks that site, keeps the door locked,
Okay, that security analogy makes it super clear. And the potential impact. Wow, if this works, fewer infections, obviously. And maybe, just maybe, less need for daily PAP down the line, which is great, but still a daily thing people have to manage.
Absolutely. That's the huge potential benefit. Long-term protection before exposure. Imagine that shift. Instead of daily pills or frequent shots, maybe just a few doses for protection that lasts, I don't know, maybe years. That would mean fewer people needing lifelong PEP, a much simpler prevention approach. Potentially better adherence, too.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But, okay, reality check. These things take time. Where is HB-500 right now? Like in the clinical trial pipeline?
Right. Good question. It's currently in phase 1 clinical trials. Now, phase 1 sounds early, and it is, but it's absolutely critical. This is where they test it in healthy volunteers. They're looking very closely at safety. Is it safe for humans? Does it trigger the right kind of immune response? Are those bNAbs actually being produced? And what's the right dose? It's all about laying that essential groundwork, making sure it's well tolerated and does what it's supposed to biologically. If phase 1 looks good, then it moves to phase 2 with more people, and then phase 3, which is the big one, before potentially going to the FDA.
Phase 1, okay, foundational. But I'm going to ask, any hints on a timeline? How far off could this be? Everyone's excited.
Yeah, the excitement is understandable, but we need that realistic outlook too. Gilead hasn't given a specific FDA timeline yet, and usually vaccines take, well, it can be anywhere from 5 to 10 years from start to finish, sometimes longer. However, there are things that could speed it up. HIV is a huge public health priority globally, And Gilead has, serious resources and a ton of experience in HIV. That helps. The source video we looked at suggested if phase 2 starts by 2025 and goes well, maybe FDA submission around 2027, 2028. But that's a prediction, obviously. Timelines can definitely change. Still, the direction feels promising.
Okay, 2027, 2028 as a possible target if things go well. That gives us something to watch.
Yeah.
So what are other researchers saying? What's the buzz in the field about HB-500? Cautious optimism, skepticism.
I'd say cautiously optimistic is a really good description. There's definite excitement about bNAb vaccines generally. Like Dr. Carl Diefenbach at the NIH, a major figure in HIV research, he's been quoted saying things like, these vaccines, including HB-500, may finally bring us closer to functional prevention.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big statement from someone like him.
Wow, yeah, functional prevention. That sounds significant. Are others echoing that? Especially thinking about how it fits with PrEP and other strategies.
Definitely. You hear specialists talking about entering a new era of HIV science. Oh, they see vaccines, both therapeutic and preventive, playing a huge role, especially the ones that make adherence easier. Reducing the need for that constant daily medication. A lot of experts think HB-500 could potentially supplement or even replace PEP in the long run, particularly for groups who might struggle with taking a pill every day or face stigma around HIV meds. It could really improve access and adherence for them.
Okay, so how does HB-500 stack up against other new developments? There's a lot happening, right? mRNA vaccines, gene therapy. What does this fit in?
Yeah, it's definitely not the only horse in the race, which is great. More shots on goal. You've got Moderna's mRNA vaccine, the HTI vaccine using a different approach, even really cutting-edge gene therapies like EBT-101 and AGT-103T trying for potentially permanent solutions. It's a busy field. But HB-500 has its own strengths. It's built on that proven bNAbs science. We know broadly neutralizing antibodies can work. It's backed by Gilead, a pharma giant with deep HIV expertise. That means resources, experience, know-how, and crucially, as we mentioned, it targets a highly conserved part of HIV. That part of the virus doesn't mutate as much, which could mean broader, more durable protection.
That targeting of a conserved part sounds really key. So even though it's maybe earlier in trials than some others, that potential for long-term protection is the big draw.
Exactly. While it is still in early trials compared to others, that potential for long-term protection with few doses is incredibly compelling. That could make it almost ideal for high-risk populations where maybe daily pills or frequent clinic visits for injections are harder to manage. Think about the impact of just needing a couple of shots for potentially years of protection. It's a fundamentally different prevention model.
It really is. Okay, this is all super hopeful, a long-lasting vaccine.
Yeah.
Amazing. But let's shift gears a bit. Even if HB-500 or something like it gets approved down the road, does lab testing still matter? Is that still going to be important?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. That's a critical point. Lab testing remains crucial. Essential, really. For early detection, for peace of mind. Think about it. No vaccine is ever 100% effective. People might get exposed before they're vaccinated, or maybe the vaccine doesn't take fully for some reason, or they might just have an unknown exposure. Testing is how you catch an infection early, often way before symptoms show up, and that's vital for getting treatment quickly and preventing further spread. Plus, testing data helps public health folks track the virus and see how well prevention strategies are actually working in the real world. It supports research.
Right, so it's not like vaccines replace testing. They work together. You mentioned early detection. Is there a specific test that's best for that really early window?
Yes, definitely. The HIV RNA test is particularly good for that. It can detect the actual genetic material of the virus, the RNA, sometimes as early as 7 to 10 days after exposure. That's much sooner than antibody tests. So it's often called the most accurate tool we have for early diagnosis. If you have a recent concern, that's the one that gives the quickest, most accurate picture. Getting tested, knowing your status is just fundamental to taking control of your health.
Okay, that HIV RNA test sounds incredibly useful for catching things early. Good to know. So while we're waiting for HB-500 to progress through trials and hoping for the best, what can people listening do right now? What are the practical steps today?
Great question. There's plenty you can do right now. First, stay informed. Keep up with the news on vaccine development. Things are moving fast. Second, use protection. Condoms, PrEP, they work. They're available now. Stick with safe practices. Third, and this is so important, get tested regularly, especially if you're sexually active or if you're ever unsure about a partner's status. Knowledge is power here. And finally, know your options and take action. If you need a test, especially that accurate early RNA test, talk to your doctor or look into resources. Our source mentioned HIVRNA-guide.com as a place for quick, confidential, and affordable testing. They partner with labs all over the place, more than 4,500 plus testing labs across the United States. The idea is easy access, no long waits, no judgment, just fast, accurate results. And honestly, the peace of mind you get from knowing, totally worth it.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it? Thinking back, 20, 30 years ago, the fear, the stigma, the lack of options compared to now. And here we are talking seriously about vaccines that might actually prevent HIV infection altogether. HB-500 feels like a really huge step in the right direction. It's just incredible progress.
It truly is. The science is moving forward incredibly fast, and, we should move forward too, in our understanding and in taking care of our own health. This potential for long-term prevention, like with HB-500, it's more than just a new drug. It could actually change how we talk about HIV, how we think about it as a society. Could we really shift from just managing it to maybe eventually eradicating it?
Well, that's the big hope, isn't it?
That's a profound thought for the future.
A really profound thought. And while we hold on to that hope, the message for right now is clear, isn't it? Get tested. Know your status. Take charge of your health. That's what you can control today.
Exactly. And remember, if you're looking for that accessible, quick, confidential testing, the resource mentioned was HIVRNA-guide.com. Easy to find, easy to use.